through a Canadian route and to come out somewhere around North Dakota or somewhere up in that range. A 48-inch pipeline, gas pipeline. Well, why don't, in that same right-of-way, add 2 more insulated 48-inch pipelines? It'd just be primarily material cost, just cost of the pipe and the labor to weld it. But Lindsey Williams has certified that they discovered a major oil field off of Gull Island, off the north slope of Alaska, that the oil pool is something like 1,500 feet thick, and that it could run for hundreds of miles in all directions. And once they tapped that oil and found out what was there, they closed the well and shut it in and hoped nobody saw them. But Lindsey Williams witnessed it. So if you develop the Gull Island oil field and then flow it through one of these other 48-inch lines, and also what if the Alaska pipeline all of a sudden goes down? Then you've got these other 2 oil pipelines to feed the oil through. And also, there's a lot of Canadian oil that could be put into that pipeline. And then build several very large refineries, oil refineries, at the termination point of these pipelines. So that the oil company is not going to build a refinery, so the federal government build a refinery and have someone like Valero or someone like that operate it. And so refine the oil as it comes in from Alaska, and also build maybe half a dozen or a dozen very large gas-fired electric generating plants at the termination of these pipelines, and then set a grid across the United States so that we feed electricity from these power plants all across the United States. And so that would, see, oil companies, they operate any way they want to, so they need competition. So if the federal government built a refinery and built these power plants, there'd be competition with the oil companies, so they'd have to clean up their act. They would have to start drilling wells and competing with this other structure. So we would completely eliminate energy problems altogether. Now we still ought to encourage wind and solar and all these other means of producing electricity. But let's say there's an oil field that up in along the Rockies, North Dakota, South Dakota, and that range they call the Bacon Shale oil field, that they predicted contains 3.65 billion barrels of oil. And that's a fairly recent discovery. And also, there have been, let's see, that's, I've talked about Gull Island. But there have also been large gas discoveries over in Louisiana, and also in the Rockies, and also in Pennsylvania. And so there's ample supplies left. Now let's get into the subject of, is petroleum a fossil fuel or is it abiotic? Fossil means it's created from the decay of dinosaurs and plants and so forth. And as long as I can remember, that is the dominant theory of how oil is produced. But I'm extremely fortunate to have had one of my two brothers to be a brilliant person that had an IQ of 160. He's no longer alive, but he wrote a physics book and I published it for him. And in that book, he documents the fact that within the inner part of the Earth, there's a ball of matter that's rotating in the same direction that the Earth rotates in, but it rotates 1 degree per day faster than the outer surface. So when the Earth rotates 365 degrees, that inner ball is rotating twice. So you got this ball that's creating friction between the outer zones that surround it, and all the heat of this friction, and it's creating large caverns, could be 100 miles high. He says there's lightning in there, and that the heat of the friction and this lightning have decomposed the substrates of the structures of the soil and created oil and natural gas. And it's creeped up through cracks in the surface and settled out in areas they call oil fields. And actually they have proved that some of the oil fields that they thought had gone dry, that actually shut the wells in because they were no longer producing. And they came back maybe 10, 15 years later and found out they were full again. And there's one example, the Eugene Island Block 333 field. In 1980, the world proven reserve was $645 billion billion barrels. In 2005, 1.3 trillion barrels. So the world supply is increasing. And also, probably most of the oil that is created in North Slope of Alaska is exported to Japan and China and Middle East, or the Far East, and never comes into the United States. So we need to outlaw that. And any oil produced on U.S. soil must be consumed in U.S. sources. Now that I've got a chapter called Elite Spies Within Our Federal Government. And those elite spies I define as anyone who's a member of the Bilderberg's Council of Foreign Relations or Trilateral Commission. And I've got quite a number of pages where I show the evidence of the number of elite spies within the cabinet of each president. And every president since Woodrow Wilson. And Barack Obama is not immune. In Barack Obama's cabinet and staff, we have Secretary of State Hillary Rodham Clinton attended the 1997 Bilderberg meeting and probably the 2008 Bilderberg meeting. And Obama very likely attended the 2008 Bilderberg meeting. Secretary of Defense Robert Gates was CIA director and member of the CIA for 26 years and member of the Council of Foreign Relations from 1983 to today. Secretary of Treasury Timothy Geithner, former CEO of the New York Fed, been a member of the CF